Okay. I forget myself a little. The police. The police I called soon as I heard something moving in here. Just like I was supposed to. What's that? Oh, that comes first. Oh. Great. I figured I'd be arrested for trespassing. I wondered what 1930s prison looked like. Mrs. Blavatsky refused. I even tried to convince Judge Waters to give me a warrant, but he doesn't look kindly on ghost stories. Tell you the truth, Nance, I wanted to crack open that case myself after the horse theft. As it turned out, Chief McGinnis wasn't angry as I expected, but he didn't exactly believe me either. It's late, you're tired, and you had that bump on your head. Sure, you didn't just imagine it? And with that new dead end, it was time for this girl, detective, to get some sleep. Since the store in the dollhouse looked just like the old River Heights Jewelers on River Street, you can guess where I was the next morning. Yikes! I can't stand not using my laptop. How did people in the 1930s live? How did they communicate? They did have books, George. And it may be a mystery to you, but they sent each other letters. And they had some beautiful jewelry, too. Sigh. I love the antique cameos. I just wish the prices were 1930s. Old River Jewelers was one of those quaint stores that seemed trapped in time. Nancy Drew, to what do I owe the pleasure? It opened for business in 1936 and hadn't changed since. The current owner, Jerry Martin, didn't even need to do any redecorating for Nostalgia Week. I feel a little silly saying this, but did Chief McGinnis tell you about the dollhouse, Mr. Martin? That he did. He's stopping by himself every hour. Nostalgia Week has the River Heights Police Department stretched pretty thin, I guess. Are you worried? About a haunted dollhouse? I thought it was pretty funny. Excuse me. I mean, do you expect me to believe someone with a mask will just walk in here and say, that kind of stuff may have been spooky a long time ago, but this isn't really 1930s.
Stick 'em up!
Oop! Please, just take whatever you want.
Okay, that necklace will do nicely. And don't get any funny ideas about following me, especially you, Nancy Drew. The spirits wouldn't like that.
Whoa, girl. You stay right here. I'm not afraid of any spirits. Forget the spirits! Didn't you see the gun? They made me count to 10, then agreed to let me see if I could figure out which direction he ran in. He vanished like a ghost. No, like someone with a car. Those are tire tracks. Those tire tracks are fresh. I thought about following with my car, but the crook was long gone. Stranger still, as soon as I learned that the stolen necklace was fake, Mr. Martin just used it for display. Did you know that in 1924 Americans consumed less than 4 quarts of ice cream a year? Today it's like 15 quarts. That was the last... That was the last thing I read on the internet. I miss it so much. This is a tough one. What made those dolls move? And why steal a fake painting and a fake necklace? Maybe since the spirit dolls are little fake people, they like fake stuff. Will you stop with the spirit stuff, Bess? Deirdre's horse was real. At least it looked real. Ow! You're mean. In the 1930s. Oh, she's just grumpy without her modern conveniences. The horse was real, just not valuable. Maybe that's the point. Maybe the crook isn't stealing stuff to make money. Why else would someone steal? It's a lousy way to be famous. Trouble getting that big brain of yours to work, Nancy? Isn't it obvious ghosts are for real? The ghosts are for real? Ew, I agree with Deirdre. And I should know. I saw one. Well, almost. I was on a date with Dan Freeman just last summer, enjoying a very romantic evening. All at once, he turned and ran. He said he actually saw a ghost flying in the woods. Ever think maybe Dan was just trying to get away from you? Laugh if you want, but I wouldn't mess with ghosts, Nancy Drew. Even little ones. Left to myself, I would have spent the rest of Nostalgia Week just thinking about that dollhouse. As it was, Bess and George dragged me to a big party. That night on the famous old steamboat, the Magnolia Belle. Steamboats actually go all the way back to 1769, but they didn't make much money until Robert Fulton started building them in 1801. Technically, the Magnolia Belle was a lot older than 1930, but it was last fixed up in 1935, so it fit right in. Good thing, too. She was a glorious old ship. Even my dad, Carson Drew, was there, doing the Lindy with Mrs. Mahoney. He's a great lawyer, and not a bad dancer. The Lindy Hop was named after Charles Lindbergh, the first man to hop across the Atlantic Ocean in a solo flight in 1927. The dance was a huge craze by the 1930s. Shall we cut a rug? That old slang for? I know. Shall we cut a rug? That's old slang for I know, Ned. For dancing. Sure. Funny that Lindenberg never danced himself, and by the late 1930s, the name of the dance changed to the jitterbug anyway. Whatever the name, it sure was a lot of fun. I was having a great time, but my mind kept drifting back to other things. Things like, was I wrong? Was I being too skeptical about the spirit world? There was a kind of magic feeling in the air as we reached out to the past. So was it impossible to think that the past could also be reaching out to us? You know, back in the real 1930s, there probably weren't any girl detectives. Emma Blavatsky! Actually, Anne Rodway solved the murder of her best friend back in 1859. I think she was the first. Mrs. Blavatsky, if you don't mind my asking, why won't you let us open the dollhouse? Do you have something to hide? Hide? At my age, there is little to hide. I don't wish the house to be disturbed, because it would disturb the spirits. They have so much to tell us. They sure have an odd way of talking, predicting the theft of worthless things. You doubt. But what if your clues led to proof that the spirit world really does exist? Proof? Well, I guess I'd be pretty famous then, wouldn't I? Why don't you come to my home tomorrow, and together we can try to contact them? Who knows, perhaps we both will be famous. I can't believe I let you guys talk me into a seance. Come on, you know you're dying to see a ghost. It's the dying part that scares me. You're all here. Excellent. Let's get started. In there? In the dark? The spirits prefer the dark. My dear, their days in the light are over, and it makes them feel at home. Darkness also makes it easier to fool people. I kind of knew what to expect. Please be seated. See, after the dance, Ned loaned me the book he was reading about spiritualism. Good thing, too, or I might have been fooled. This twisted candle has been specially blessed to attract spirits. But as it turned out, Emma Blavatsky went totally by the book. First we were asked to hold hands. Let us join together in a circle, and let this circle remain unbroken. And Mrs. Blavatsky, who acted as our medium, said a few words to invoke the dead. Hear me, spirits of the departed. I know you walk among us. I know you watch us and crave to speak. Please tell us. Tell us what you want us to know. For a while, nothing happened. Then all at once, I felt like my hand was being squeezed in a vice. Then I realized it was Bess. The poor dear was so scared. She was crushing my hand. Relax. It hasn't even started yet. Yes, it has, Nance. Look. Even this part was by the book. Spiritualists claim these ghostly forms were made from something called ectoplasm. Okay, that's just straight out of Ghostbusters right there. Okay, but it was really usually muslin, a cheap fabric that could be rolled up and easily hidden. Actually, I think that's a salt pepper ghost in the first degree, but what do I know? Pretty impressive, though, huh? Oh. In the height of the seance, the spirit would always find some way to communicate. Sometimes they tapped out answers to questions by tipping the table. Sometimes they moved a pen in the hand of the medium to write a message. Oh. And sometimes they used the mouth of the medium to just, talk. Do not doubt us, Nancy Drew. Tell the world we are real, or you will become a victim of our curse. And of course, at the very end, the candle always gets mysteriously blown out. Whoosh. The medium wakes up and acts like nothing happened. My. And the really amazing thing is how many people believe this stuff. Ah! I must have passed out from the excitement. So did anything happen? Did the spirit speak?
Did anything happen? Did anything happen? There was a big ghost and a weird voice and it threatened Nancy.
Bess, there's a book you've really got to read. It explains all these seances are faked.
Faked?
Yeah, like not real. Some people pay a mint to speak to their dead loved ones. Gee, for a mechanical genius, you sure can be gullible. George is a little cranky, but she's right. They used all kinds of tricks, like wires, folds in their clothes, hollow spaces in the table. Wait a minute.